Good evening, everybody. Not the face you were expecting to see, but welcome. It is a Wednesday night. It is that time of the week where we spend an hour talking about something and getting very excited and going to bed excited about something very exciting we spoke about. Glen is going to be in the fortunate position to share something very exciting with us called Vision tonight. So let's not steal his time. Glen, over to you.
Evening. This is Wednesday night, and it's exciting to be, as you heard from Henny, everything's exciting tonight, and I trust that you're also going to feel excited by the time this evening is over. I had the opportunity to meet Dr. Miles Monroe. Now, I'm not too sure whether you have met him or read his books or know of him, but it goes back to the year 1996. And I'll never forget, when I look back, I can see God's hand in different things in life. And I'm sure that you may be able to relate as well. When you look back in time, you kind of see these moments where something special happened, but at the time you were totally unaware of it. And my journey was started on the 1st of April, 1996, when I asked the question, why am I here? 3 months later, believe it or not, a whole bunch of people came from all over the world to my little church in East London. And yes, I know you don't know where that is. It's the Forgotten City. And these 3 people came and they spent a whole week teaching about all of the things that I needed to hear to answer the question that I was asking. But I was too blind at the time to actually hear with my eyes and my ears. And the people that attended there were Dr. Miles Monroe, Rick Godwin, Tony Kampala, and many others who came to speak, and my life was changed. I mean, I spent every day, every afternoon, every evening in sessions with these guys for a full week because I'd taken the week off work. And so I began to be interested in Dr. Miles Monroe's work. I bought one of his books there, and the book that I bought was all about potential. And I began to read his material. And every time he came to South Africa, somehow our paths would cross. And there was one occasion where he came to speak to a large audience in Pretoria. And after speaking to them, he had a special luncheon for a small group of people. We had to buy tickets in advance. And of course, I had organized for a few people to attend this particular session. And when it came to attending, I discovered we didn't have the tickets. And so fortunately, I knew somebody who was involved in the organizing team, and they managed to get us in, and we listened to an incredible talk on vision. Now, Dr. Miles spoke about something that I could relate to, because here in the city that I now live is a place called the Farm Inn. And at the Farm Inn, they have a whole bunch of lions. These are the African lions, the ones that roar, the real ones, not the ones from the Lion King. These are real smelly lions that you can see. And he used the lion, and he described how a lion is able to pursue its prey. He used, I remember the one example he used, he said, when you and I see an elephant, we see something huge and we are afraid and we want to run away. When a lion sees an elephant, he sees lunch. a different perspective. And so he was talking about the lion and how focused the lion becomes when it sees its prey. And I have witnessed this. Usually it's the lioness. They seem to be the ones that are eager to chase after the prey, catch it. And then, of course, the male sort of lazily comes in there. When I say lazily, sometimes he makes a loud noise and they have to give him space and he gets to eat, even although he hasn't been part of the chase. But when you see a lioness focusing on its prey, you know exactly which animal or which individual that lion is about to chase, because its eyes do not blink. They are completely fixed on the chosen target. Their vision is like none other. I mean, it is absolutely focused on that point. And so he used the lion to talk about vision and shared something with us. I've shared with you previously that vision, for me, my first talk that I gave on vision was simply visible imagination shared inspiringly, openly, non-stop. I mean, when you have a vision, all you can talk about is that vision. It's clear to you. You can see it as if it is real. For others, it's imaginary, but for you, it is a real thing. You've been there. You stepped into the future. I remember when the Epcot Center was opened and they cut the ribbon, and Walt Disney's wife was there, and the person who was leading the project manager, turned to her and said, "What a pity Walt isn't here to see the opening of the Epcot Center," because he had passed away before. And she said, "You've just missed the greatest miracle. The reason we are here able to open the Epcot Center is because Walt already saw it." And vision is that powerful. You got to see it. You got to be clear. And so Miles Monroe was talking about vision, but then he introduced something which I wanted to speak about this evening. And the way that he started introducing the topic was he used the word dilemma. He said, when you are in a place where you have a dilemma, it means you've got a choice between two different things and you don't know what choice to make. You are disempowered in a sense. You're in a place of indecision. Dies too. So when you go and look at that, I looked up the original meaning. It comes from Greek, which talks about having a double proposition, and it goes beyond just having a double proposition. It says a double proposition or a choice of two things, and neither of them are good. That is being in a place of or being in a dilemma. And maybe you are in that place right now. You kind of you don't know which way to turn. Do I go left or do I go right? And very often a dilemma is the result of a lack of clarity of vision. When you're not too sure where you are supposed to be going, when you don't have a as Danny talks about the vision board being a preview of the future, if you're not clear on what that future should be, then you will often find yourself in a place that is described as having a dilemma. A choice between two things, neither of which are going to take you to your vision. That's a dilemma. Another time where this word "die" comes in is in the word of divorce. You may have heard the word divorce many times. In South Africa, I believe that more than 50% of marriages end that way. I was watching one of these stand-up comedians recently, and he's an engineer. An engineer like me, who's now a stand-up comedian. I'm not too sure how those two things work, but of course he loves to do things using charts and graphs, and he makes them very comical. And one of the things that he was looking at was statistics. And he said what's very interesting in America is that 46% of marriages end in divorce. And he said, people are horrified by that. But he said, if you understand statistics, he said, 56% end in death. So either way, it's not a good ending. Anyway, that was a bit of humor, perhaps, that he was sharing. And maybe there's a little bit of truth, or a lot of truth in that. But the interesting the interesting aspect of divorce is that the word divorce is what we is from the Latin, which talks about force. So the word divorce means force, and when a couple are together, they are a force. But when that force is split, it is when separation of the force occurs, you have divorce, a separation of force. And so in marriage, together, there is incredible force. In unity, incredible things can be done. So where do these two things that I've spoken about link in with vision? Well, you know exactly where I'm going with this. There is only room for one vision. I wear spectacles, and the reason I wear spectacles is because I used to struggle with double vision. I mean, you may have heard of the idea of double vision. And double vision is when you see two things and it's not good. You kick your toes on rocks that aren't even there. You fall over things. You bump into things. Double vision is not a good thing. And what's interesting is when there is double vision, we use the word division. So when there isn't a single vision, you have division. And many situations, if you look at different church organizations that have split, if you look at companies that have split, the result in most cases has been the appearance of two visions. Somebody in the organization wants their vision to become a reality. They want to usurp the main vision, and as a result, you get division. And you and I cannot be double-minded. We cannot have two different things that we're chasing after. We have to be single-minded. I think it was Rockefeller that talked about the importance of being single-minded. And you know, my father used to often say, whenever I wanted a gift that would cost money, he would say things like this. He would say, "What? Do you think I'm Rockefeller?" So evidently Rockefeller made some money in his life, and he said singleness of purpose is one of the chief requirements for success in life, no matter what your aim might be. Singleness of purpose. What he was saying is you have to have clarity of vision. You have to have single vision. Raymond Ackerman put it this way. He said that you and I, in fact, he looked straight at me and he told me that one of the most important things that I could have is absolute focus. He said these words. He said, you need to focus on a pinhead. At that time in my life, I was focused on a pin cushion. I had so many ideas, so many irons in the fire, so many things I was going to do. He said, listen, buddy, if you want to build something like Pick and Pay, which I have done in South Africa, if you want to build something like that, you have to be absolutely committed to the one thing. And not only that, he went on to emphasize the importance of force. He said that if you want to achieve this one vision, make sure that your spouse, your wife, he was talking to me, so he was saying, make sure that your wife is with you. If she's not, don't even start. Because division destroys the vision. You know, sometimes some of your greatest or your closest friends can be your greatest adversaries when it comes to vision. Vision, there is only one person can see it, and that person has to lead. That person qualifies to lead, not because they have the other credentials, not because they have the capabilities. They have the vision. They have seen the unseen. And your and my responsibility is to take action and bring the unseen scene onto the scene so that other people can see the scene that you saw. That's what vision is about. No one else can bring your unseen, the vision that you've seen that they have not seen. They cannot bring that into reality. They cannot question the vision or the revelation that you've had. There has to come a time, if somebody is trying to take away the vision that you have seen, there comes a time where that individual can no longer be part of what you're doing. Because all that is going to result is division, which is going to dilute the focus, which is going to distract you from wherever you're going. And so it's important that you have single vision. I wear spectacles today to enable me to have clarity of physical sight, physical vision. I also need to have a vision board that clearly is in front of me to keep my vision clear and focused. I hope that what I've shared with you this evening is going to stimulate discussion. I know Henny has a whole bunch of questions that he's going to ask, and if I'm unable to answer them, I'm going to refer them back to you, the audience. So I'm looking forward to sharing with you. Before we move into that, I'm going to ask my friend Miguel from Spain. You know, he just loves to tell you exactly why Map for Life exists and the value of what Map for Life can bring to you. Many of us can identify with this message of Miguel, where you listen to a talk like the one I've given you right now, and you are inspired and ready for action. But you need the tool to implement what we're talking about. So let's hear from all the way from Spain, Miguel Sanz.
Muy buenos días a todos. I am Miguel Sanz from Madrid, Spain. I started using Map for Life back in 2016, where this picture here, where I am with Glen, belonged to that year in the training I did in Pretoria. And you know, there are many talks, many talks out there in internet, in real life, where great speakers tells you that you are unique, that you need to find your purpose, what you need to do in life. You end up out of those talks really happy, but naked, because you have no tools. What's Map for Life? Map for Life gives you the tools to achieve your goals, to be precise, to do all the things you need to do to achieve them. You are unique, be mapped.
I love Miguel. And it was so nice to have him join us all the way from Spain. And interestingly, in that photograph, there were people from the Congo, from Cameroon, from different parts of South Africa. It was really Botswana. It was really a wonderful global group, a kind of a little snapshot of what Map for Life is really all about. And Miguel is fully engaged in training and equipping people in Spain. And I trust that he's going to be the person who's going to enable us to take Map for Life into the Spanish-speaking world. So our presentation materials are in Spanish already. What's interesting is the majority of the Spanish-speaking audience are in South and Central America. And so I'm trusting that in the near future, Miguel's going to get on a plane, and together we're going to go and map the Spanish world. So, Henny, over to you. This is your show.
Yeah, good evening, everyone. Thank you very much, Glenn. Very informative, but very wise words. I'm seeing some people online. If you are online, please introduce yourself, put your name, tell us where you're from, and please take part in the conversation. I'm going to try and fill a different role tonight by questioning what Glenn has put down there, just to try and get some clarity on it, because I've heard a few questions around a vision, and maybe I'm going to try and fulfill that role tonight to say, let's see if we can unpack those things and maybe get to some conclusion around it. So first of all, Glenn, what I took from the message was really, if the word vision is not by itself and there's any other letters to it, there's something wrong with it. Vision just needs to be vision. There needs to be nothing ahead of the word or behind the word kind of thing. It is just vision, because that means that I am focused.
Well, when one unpacks the word vision, vision is your ability to see. And when you see something, it means there are no distractions. There is nothing in between you and the thing that you're looking at. There's no obstacle. There's no stumbling block. There's nothing, because you've seen the beyond. You've seen that future. So for me, having spectacles, well, like I see you also sneaking in a pair of spectacles there. I've struggled with vision from a very young age. So at the age of 6, I was wearing spectacles, and I've been wearing them ever since. So I have a different appreciation of the value of being able to see clearly. So vision is exactly just that. It's what you see. And we're talking about what you see with your mind's eye, and that is far more powerful than what you see with your physical eye. Some people, if we look at physical sight, it differs from the worst case of blindness to somebody who has 20/20 vision, which, by the way, just simply means I can see 20 feet perfectly with each eye, or 6.67 meters in today's terms. So you've got those two ends of two extremes. But when it comes to mind sight, the extremes are vastly different. I mean, it's unending what you're able to see when it comes to your mind sight.
Thank you. I see Cheryl Watson online as well. Cheryl Watson, ex-South African. She's now in the UK. Glenn knows me as Cheryl Christie, has joined us online. Welcome aboard, Cheryl.
Well, before you go further,
There's a story.
There is a story. Of course, there's a story. There's always a story. Because Cheryl has actually done the Map for Life Train the Trainer. I mean, we were talking on Monday night, Henny, about amazing things that have been happening. Do you remember our Monday night discussion?
Yes, I did.
Well, Cheryl is just fulfilling that exact same thing. Cheryl, we've got a number of people in the UK, and one of our regular trainers, Heather King, is in Brighton, just I think south of London. I might be incorrect with the exact location, but it'd be wonderful if you can connect with her. She has a map cafe every Tuesday morning at I think 6 a.m. London time, and it would be so wonderful. And it's just you can't imagine how much joy there is in my heart having you connect this evening. Welcome.
So while you're on stories, Jane has just joined us as well. I'm thinking Jane is from Uganda,
Yes.
if I'm right. She says, greetings. It's not enough to see. Vision must be written down. Otherwise, the risk that one talks about. Otherwise, the risks one talks about.
I hear what Jane is confirming is that the when you have a vision, somehow life happens, and bad things happen to good people. And circumstances change. And if you've not recorded your vision, if you've not put that vision down on tablets of stone, as that famous strangely named guy Habakkuk says. Write your vision down on tablets of stone so that those who see it may run with it. If you fail to write your vision down, you could quite easily forget one of the most important things that you've been born to fulfill. So writing it down is important. Not only is it important, Henny, but it also, it seems to be the key to the manifestation of the vision. It could be, probably is, and most certainly the evidence is there over the last 20 years of Map for Life, where people have written things down. And as a result of writing it down, it has become a reality in their life. We have Cheryl joining us this evening, and she says she's now in the UK. There's a strong possibility that Cheryl actually had a dream of being there, that Cheryl actually wrote something down at some point, and that is why she's there today. So vision that is not written is vapor. They say if it's not on paper, it's vapor. So we need to write our vision down.
Just quick feedback. Cheryl saying, thanks, Glen. I will contact her. Can you email her contact details? So we just need to share some details with Cheryl.
I will do that right away.
Then Jane is saying something. Before I go and read what Jane says, I'm going to ask a question and then read the stuff, and maybe you can answer those together. We're saying a vision needs to be written down. Does it count to be a vision board? Does a vision board count as written down? Or is that just a picture? Jane is saying vision is about seeing clearly. My experience is that unless one writes it down, comes back to down, the risk is just talking about it and not acting on it. And I think the key word here is acting. And she's also saying vision must outlive the vision bearer. Other people should be able to run with it after you. I think for me, that starts touching on significance again and legacy.
Well, here's an interesting thing about vision. Writing it down can take many forms. And the one thing that we are required to learn in school is how to write with our hand. But before we learn to write with our hand, the way that we communicate is with pictures, word stories. You see teenagers. One of the interesting things about teenagers is they start sticking up pictures in their room. I don't know if your children did it, but I've seen so many children where it's almost like the minute they turn 13, the room is theirs, and they start putting up posters and all kinds of stuff in their room. And so it seems like it's an inbuilt thing that people do this. So writing it is not only restricted to the written word, but it is in the form of a design. If you're an architect, writing it down would be putting a plan together. If you're an artist, you might paint something. If you, like me, you might go to magazines and cut out pictures that best represent what you are seeing. So it is important to be on paper, because when you take the imaginary vision that you've seen and you bring it into the physical realm, it's almost like putting your hand into the future and bringing it into the present. So it's a very, very important first step. Jane, you're spot on.
So yes, I can draw pictures. I don't have to write it. It can be on the board. Thank you. Let's role play a little bit.
Sorry, Henny, can I just say something about that picture story? You know what? I've seen some fascinating vision boards that people have done. Is taking photographs or a selfie, and then with Photoshop and things like this, you're able to put yourself in an amazing environment. Tonight I'm using a green screen, so when I go and edit this video, I can pop whatever I want in the background over here. And that's the amazing thing with a vision board. If we had to, I'm just thinking this evening, and maybe this is going to mess things up a little bit, but I could decide that perhaps a good background is something that's different to the green screen, and I can suddenly be there. Now I could do the same kind of thing with a vision board. Why not make it personal so you see yourself in the place that you want to be?
Yeah, I read somewhere that they say technology is an enabler or a distraction. If you use technology as an enabler, and with AI and things coming around, you could almost enact yourself living your dream by like you say, by putting yourself in that situation. With a few tweaks or so, it actually looks like it is you that's actually living that experience at that point in time. So your vision board could almost start becoming a video of you seeing yourself doing something that you aim to do in the future.
Yeah, I was just, something that I thought I would just show you, and I think this is one of the things that we can do is to literally, and I don't know if you'll be able to see this, but you could, if you wanted to, you could create a screensaver, on your phone that reminds you of your vision. So every time somebody calls you or every time you open it, the first thing you see is your vision. And that might help you to spend less time on your mobile device. So there's many ways. As a screensaver on your computer, why not turn that into your vision board? Every time your computer goes to sleep, it shows you why you should be awake. I think those are really valuable tools.
I mean, the other thing to add to it as well is audio. I mean, if I've got a vision, if I can't see my vision board, I could be in a car. I could actually read out my vision. I could almost make it call it a story, for lack of a better word, but I could actually read my vision and have it on my phone. It could be my alarm clock talking to me in the morning, or it could be something that I listen to on the radio as soon as I get in the car.
Here's a thought, Henny. Do you know that when Anne and I had our wedding, it was we married in Durban, and we had a special song that we wanted played at the end. But I had organized two guys to get a weekend pass from their military basics. They were incredibly good musicians. And so these two guys were the live band for our session. And they came up to me just before the end of the evening and say, about that special song that you had. It was Enya's Orinoco Flow. We can't do that, but we've got something else. We think you'll like it. And if you've been to a wedding and they make that archway, I'm sure anybody who's married will remember or kind of can relate to this. At least where I come from in the Eastern Cape, everybody would make this archway, this human archway, and you would go down the middle and say goodbye to everyone at the end of the evening. And I can still picture the expressions on key people's faces as I was going down that aisle. Whenever I hear the song, I'm leaving on a jet plane. You may have heard that, I'm leaving on a jet plane. Every time I hear that song, I am immediately transported back to that moment. So I think music, smells, all of these things can make your vision board so much richer. So why not choose a song that relates to the destination that you've chosen? Because your vision is your destination. I think it's a brilliant idea. Audio, video, all these things can really help.
Yeah. I mean, technology allows us to almost use all the senses. It would be nice to have all senses in the vision. I mean, then it's going to just feel so much more real. Cheryl is saying good ideas using the screensavers. This works a treat. So yeah, I agree, Cheryl. So then I want to quickly role play a scenario that we can maybe talk around. So let's say I started Map for Life. Let's use me as an example. So let's say I started using Map for Life seriously as a lifestyle in December.
Yeah.
I followed the Map for Life methodology. I found some direction. I found some vision in the process, and I had my vision boards and everything. And I'm focusing on achieving what's happening. But as part of the process, a few things had to change. So my habits have changed, and I've got a different set of things. The funny thing is, I'm learning that there's a lot more to any than he knew that was available. So as part of that process, I'm now learning a lot more. I'm also learning a lot more as I go down the path towards my vision. Can it then happen that I learn a lot more about myself? So one, let's say my vision is too small, I can actually grow my vision to be something bigger. Number two, can it be a case of I'm getting more information en route to the vision that's opened up things that I never could imagine because I was a limited imaginary person? Um, and then three, could it mean that I get to a point and as part of this process of growing, I'm seeing that maybe I, let's call it, missed my vision and I've actually got a different vision that I need to follow. So three scenarios there.
Henny, what's that behind you there? Just up on the ceiling.
Too little light.
Okay, well, you did that brilliantly. You didn't even have to look around to see. I asked you that question because in life, there's a thing called a television. And many people are watching the television and they're being told what their vision should be. So they go to the movie, they see advertising. They're on their mobile device, there's all kinds of people vying for their attention. And so it is very possible that your first take on your vision is not your vision at all. It's actually a vision that you've been told that you should have. Maybe it's your parents. They always had a vision of you being a doctor or an engineer or something, and you've followed through. You've listened to their advice. You've followed through to fulfill their vision for your life because you wanted to please them, perhaps, or because you didn't have one of your own. And so many people are in a place where the thing that they are currently pursuing is not aligned with their gifts and talents. And when you start using a tool like Map for Life, it's going to cause you to question your convictions. And that may lead, and very often does lead, to a course correction to say, hang on, I'm not supposed to be going down this road. I'm supposed to be going down this road. And you make that change. Another thing about the vision that I always like, an example that I like to use is the blue mountains in the distance. If you're living in Holland, okay, maybe you don't know what a mountain looks like. The mountain might look like that seawall, that dike that's keeping the water out of the flat land that you're living in. Sorry, I had to say something for our members. Berne, one of our trainers in Den Haag, in the Netherlands. But when you look at those distant mountains, they always appear to be different shades of blue, maybe heading into the purple color. And when you first have a vision, it may be something as vague as those blue mountains. You just have a feeling, you have a sense, that's the direction I'm supposed to be going in. And you begin to move in that direction. Now, a number of things could happen. One is that you could get past a particular obstacle and then have clarity of vision in a different direction and see something that you couldn't see in the position that you were. And as a result, your vision changes, your direction changes. But on the other hand, that vision that you've seen of those blue mountains could become more and more clear to you as you move in that direction. In fact, you may discover that those blue mountains aren't blue at all. They actually have green trees on them. Maybe they are orange rock faces. Maybe there are flowers on that screen. I remember going on a hike through the mountains once, walking through pine forests, these straight rows of planted trees. I mean, the most boring thing you could ever do is to hike through a pine forest. And I was going through this pine forest, and there, when I looked to my right, in amongst the pine needles on this carpet of pine needles running up the side of the hill where along the path I was walking, was this beautiful, massive king protea, just one bloom, all on its own inside that forest. And you see, for me to see that beautiful king protea, I had to keep moving towards my vision. So the vision, at the end of the day, may not have been the blue mountain. The blue mountain gave me direction, the green trees, the orange rocks. But finally, I got the clarity I was looking for. It was the king protea that is sitting on the side of that mountain. Other times it could be when you cross over the mountain, you see the real thing on the other side. So vision is something that gives direction. You might not see. I think the key that you are potentially alluding to is ultimately this thing called purpose, which is something that is beyond our topic for tonight. But so vision is what you see. What you see might define direction. It can change and may change, especially if you are growing as an individual, if you're becoming more connected to your original gifts and talents and less distracted by your learned skills and societal expectations on you.
Yeah, thank you. Jane is saying the danger is to follow other people's vision in your life. So to have the courage to turn and take the direction which is your own. Yeah, I agree, Jane. I think that is key. And what we discussed right now could be the case. I mean, a lot of people do think they know their vision, but they're not convinced that it's. I'm not convinced that a lot of us really have our own visions when we start off. I think we've been indoctrinated, and the world is giving us a different view on things, like you said, through television and social media. So yeah, that's the key thing. So
just on Jane, you know what Jane said over there is something that she's highlighted, and that is, and when I say highlighted, just something that comes to my mind right now is often people may feel that because my wife or my husband has a particular vision, that I am forced to give up my vision to align with theirs. And so there's a lot of people that find the frustration of having something that they want to do, which is different to what their spouse is wanting to do. And that's something that needs to be worked through. And for me, the best thing for a couple to do is to both independently work through the MAP methodology to define for themselves what their visions really are. Because in most cases, the husband thinks he knows what his wife's vision is, and he's doing everything he possibly can to fulfill that vision. And the wife thinks she knows everything that her husband wants, and she's trying to do everything to make that right. And when you go through the MAP methodology, you find that you're both wrong. Okay, and you see what the real dream and the vision is. Then the key is to find the vision or the aspects of the vision that are perfectly aligned, because the people who dream together stick together. So there's great value in that. And I think in everybody's dream or vision, because we are here to complete one another, we can find that common ground and focus on the common rather than the things that take us or pull us apart.
Yeah, that second thing that Jane wrote down right now as well sort of ties in for me with the first one as well. I can have the best and the perfect and the awesomest vision board. I can have it written down. I can have everything. A vision means nothing if I do not take action. I think the key thing is that is the dream, that is the goal, the purpose. To get to that, you need to do something about it.
Action's always important. And for me, Miguel said it there, that little video clip that I played. Map for Life exists because of my frustration of attending talks, reading books, listening to other people's ideas, being inspired to the point where I couldn't sleep at night, but having no tool to help me with the how. And a lot of people have a vision, but the first thing that causes doubt with that vision is the word but how, or the words but how. I can see this, I know that's what I should be doing, but how am I going to get there? And the reason they're saying how is because they've been conditioned to believe that money is the currency that you need. If you don't have the money, if you don't have the education, if you don't have the name, supposedly the position, the title, then how are you going to do it? Money is not the currency. Ideas are, dreams are. The future is created by the dreamers, not the people that have got the money, but by the dreamers. Money chases down people who know where they're going. So get clarity on your vision, and you will see things beginning to change. People will begin to connect with you that you didn't imagine. And so, well, just this evening, Cheryl, just, so nice to have Cheryl join with us. I can say with a measure of confidence, because of the 20 years of working with this whole process, is that Cheryl is connecting tonight because there is a clear vision that is coming together. And the people that are going to be part of that vision are going to be drawn to it mysteriously. And Cheryl might say, I was just browsing through LinkedIn and pop up pop Map for Life, just out of the blue. And it's things like that when you start saying, hang on, there's something happening on a I nearly said, I'm going to say it anyway. There's something happening on a cosmic scale. There's a supernatural thing happening. And that's what vision does, is when you have clarity of vision and people see it and understand the impact and the influence that's going to have, they begin to get excited by it. And what's important here, Henny, and I think Jane knows this as well, is that if you take away the common dreams that most people have been told to have, a good education, a good job, a nice house, a nice spouse, husband or wife, a happy family, a good holiday, a great retirement. I mean, if you take those things away, what's left? All of those are about me, myself, and I. Nobody's buying into a vision that's about you. The only thing that people are buying into, the vision that people are supporting, is the one that includes them. So when you put a vision board together, it has to have a significant impact. In other words, it's got to be about other people, not about yourself. If it's all about elevating yourself, about being able to tell other people how great you are, how many countries you're involved in, how many numbers they are, look how good I am, it's the wrong thing. You've got to focus on the impact. And that is that when you engage with Map for Life, we know that you are going to discover your purpose, and you're going to pursue it with passion. And when you do, the world is going to change. And because we know that, it encourages us, energizes us to do what we're doing today.
100%. Jane is saying, how is the vehicle to paralysis of vision? Yeah, I think we get hung up too much on how, and I think Glen has mentioned it a number of times. The right question is not why or how. The right question is why. Why am I here? Not how am I going to get there. The question is, we just need to go and change the questions. Why am I here is the question that we need to find an answer to. And
the interesting thing about that question, that why, I hope I mentioned this to you when we're doing the training. But what's interesting is that the people who know how always end up working for the people who know why. And when you know the why for something, you can endure anyhow. The how doesn't matter. What's important is the why. The why develops the faith necessary to take the step to reveal the provision that precedes the step you took. The provision is there waiting for you. The how is the cancer of faith. How always produces fear. So the how question shouldn't be part of our vocabulary whatsoever. Easy to say, but we've been conditioned for 12 years at school, 4 years at university, and since then in the workplace, everybody's asking how. Why is the question.
Yeah, so realistically speaking, and tell me if I'm wrong then. So why is almost the foundation of your vision? That is what you build your vision on top. If you find your why, you can build a vision on top of it. And then it's a matter of just acting on it. And my experience thus far is really that the universe responds to it. You start seeing things that you never thought was there. You spoke about somebody just browsing LinkedIn, Cheryl browsing it and maybe seeing it. I was just browsing my mailbox in December when Map for Life popped up there. And I don't think it's a coincidence. I think it happened for a reason. It was a long time overdue. But I saw Map for Life, and I think it just touched me at that point to say maybe it's time to start doing things. But I think that starts happening when the vision and the why is in place. That thing starts comes over your road, and you start things just starts opening, and that happens without you having to worry about the how.
Remember, we talked about this, Henny, and that is that when I'm like this, I cannot see. And when I say I cannot see, I can see there's a screen in front of me, and I can see there's somebody in green and somebody in front of green. But I couldn't tell you who those two individuals are. But as soon as I get clarity of vision, I can see clearly what was always there. So what I'm saying is that sometimes it appears as if, like The Secret tries to tell us, that we are this powerful force and we attract things to us. I think that with clarity of vision, we simply are able to see what was always there. It's like that car. You buy a car, you think you're the only person in town who's driving it, and you go down the very first street, and my goodness me, there's two other people that drive the same car. Not only the same car, the same color, everything is the same. And you say, where did they come from? They were always there. You just didn't see them because you didn't have clarity of vision. So, you were talking or touching on the why. And here's something interesting. Every child, well, that I know, and I'm sure there's some exceptions, but every child that I know, the first word that they learn sounds like a heartbeat. In fact, if you listen to your heart, it goes doof, 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 doof. Well, it could be something else. But the first word they say sounds just like that. It's like da, 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 da. It doesn't matter what language you go to, papa. It's the same rhythmic name. And so the first word that say is dada, and the second word that they learn is mama. And the only reason they learn those two words is so that they can ask the first question they ever ask, and that is why. Why dada? Why mama? And they're asking this question, and we can't give them the answer because the vision is within them. It's not in us. They have to discover that vision. They have to discover that why. And so the why question is the first question that any child asks. It has to be a key to us discovering our purpose and enabling us to define with clarity the vision that purpose is going to fulfill.
Last question from my side then, maybe a very difficult one. Is there a certain way?
Don't precede the question by confessing that it's going to be a difficult question. The answer is going to be easy. So yes, I'm hoping the question. So if you're struggling with the question.
All right, cool. Just a question. Do you know, or is there a way to almost measure that you've actually found your true purpose in doing something? So I've found my purpose and I'm running with it. How do I know 150% that this is my true purpose and that it will never change? Is it something that you do know or can know?
This is a good question. I think a lot of people debate this question of purpose. I mean, just recently, somebody was sharing with me they basically picked their purpose from a book. You know, that this book says this is my purpose and that's it. I disagree. You know, the honey, the bee, its purpose from my perspective is to pollinate flowers so that I can eat food. But the bee does not get up in the morning to do that. The bee gets up in the morning to do what it's passionate about, and that is to go and eat nectar. And it just does that all day, and it makes honey as a result. And some of that honey that it makes is influenced by the pollen that connects to the bee while it's taking out the nectar. You know, so purpose feeds you. Purpose is something that you're passionate about. We have an interesting thing called a free will. So we can choose to purpose our life any way we wish, but we can only discover our God-given purpose. It's not chosen. In other words, purpose, if we believe that we were created, and so I need to just make that statement up front. If we believe we have been created and we understand the process of creation, we will know that everything that is created only after the need that it must meet is understood. So when you create something to meet a need, you make sure that the thing you create has everything necessary to meet the need. So you equip it with all the different things. And then once it is created, it is able to meet precisely the need for which it was created. So if that's how creation works, then I have to draw the conclusion that if I was created, now this only applies to people who believe they were created. If you don't believe you were created, then this doesn't apply. Okay, but if you, in fact, if you don't believe you were created, purpose doesn't exist. You cannot ask purpose questions if you were not created. You can only ask a purpose question if you were created, because purpose precedes creation. So I think that a different word that people understand more easily is the word passion. Passion and purpose are Siamese twins. They joined at the hip, at the heart, at the head, everywhere. They are together. If you are not passionate about what you're doing, it's the first sign that you're not aligned with your purpose. It needs to be something that makes your heart beat, not just something that meets a societal need. Okay, that's one aspect of purpose. The other aspect is, is somebody once said, it was attributed in the where I read it to Albert Einstein, but I believe it was someone else, a philosopher. He said that where your gifts and talents and where the needs of society intersect, therein lies your vocation. What he was saying is, you should be busy with doing things that have meaning, using your gifts and talents so that you can operate in your sweet spot and your passion. Your question was, how can you know with absolute certainty? And I think that's something that many people are asking. What I can tell you is that no one else on the outside can tell you that you are not doing your purpose if you've had a revelation. I mean, and when I say revelation, a moment where, and I've come across a few people that have had these moments where they know that they know, they've had audible confirmation from where I can't tell you. But what I can tell you is what my belief system says. But I can't show you any proof for it. But I know for myself that I had those words I called you to when I was asking why map the world. So I know that I know for myself. Can other people know it? I think there are some indicators. Your mother and father would have seen your natural born gifts before you entered the school space, where somebody else began to teach you a skill that may not have been aligned with your gifts and talents. So it's a good idea to ask your mother and father what they thought your gifts and talents were. Observe, what do other people always ask you to do? What do you find yourself doing naturally when you have free time and there's nothing else to do? What do you just do because you like doing it? These are all indicators on what your purpose is. Sometimes the best way to know what your purpose is to start listing the things that you know it's not. I'm not passionate about this. I'm not passionate about that. That can narrow your choices down. And I think that if you make that your pursuit, that you will get to the point of confirmation. But the thing that helps you get that confirmation is movement, is action. Somebody once said a nice acronym for MAP is motion assists purpose, or momentum assists purpose. If you think that your purpose is something, begin to do it, begin to operate in it. And you will soon find out whether it ticks the boxes, that it engages your passion, that other people start benefiting. Somebody once said to me that, they would love to become a psychologist. So I said, why do you want to be a psychologist? They said, no, they love working with people. They love helping people with their problems. So I said, well, why do you say that? They said, well, ever since I was at school, if anybody had a problem, they would come and talk to me. So I said, do they feel better after they've spoken to you? She said, yes, they do. I said, are they changed after they've spoken to you? They said, yes, I do. So I said, why do you want to become a psychologist? You already are. I mean, you don't need a certificate. You don't need some institution to qualify you to do what you purposed. You are already qualified. You not only are qualified, you're anointed, you're gifted, you've got everything you need. So when you step into your purpose, you will suddenly find that it places you before kings. It places you before people of authority, because people can recognize the gift in you. I don't know if that answers your question, Henny, and I see our time is already up.
Yeah, it does. So, I mean, it's quite simple. Appreciate the unique self that you are, but take action. And it will reveal itself if it is not the true thing yet. And I mean, I can, and I ask these questions, and a lot of these questions aren't really on my mind, but I thought it was important to ask them. But what I do find is, on this journey, I'm learning I'm finding a lot of Henny that I didn't know exist. So on this journey of following your purpose, there's a lot of hidden talents and skills and even secrets coming out that I never knew existed. And if you told me when I was 20 years old, I'm going to one day write a book, I would have laughed at you. I've written one and it really excites me. I'm starting to write blogs now. I'm really starting to love this thing about writing, putting things on paper. Never knew that I would really love that. So, but the key thing is you have to start somewhere. I can keep on dreaming of writing a book and nothing will happen. It's really about the action part.
Henny, you're touching on something really important, and that is, I was asked once by a friend after picking me up from the airport, the one question that annoys me every time I'm asked, and that is, have you read this book? And every time it's a new book that's just come on the market, and of course I haven't read it. So it's an opportunity for them to tell me that I should read it. And then I decided, no, I'm not going to listen to people that tell me I should read something. I'm saying, okay, you've read it. What 3 things have you implemented as a result of reading that book? And usually that helps me decide whether I'm going to read the book or not. Most people don't implement anything. But then I thought of this. I thought, okay, if everybody keeps asking me what books they've read, I'm going to respond and say, how many books have you written? Or what book have you written? And I then looked at the word write, and I realized that when you write, you withdraw, revelational, inspired truth that has an eternal significance. And so for me, the act of writing helps you to withdraw a hidden truth that's inside you. So writing in itself could lead you to the discovery of your purpose. And so I would encourage anybody that's listening to really consider starting the act of writing.
Yeah, thank you. Cheryl saying thanks, Glen and Annie. It was a great session. See you soon. Looking forward to see you again, Cheryl. And Jane is saying, I appreciate the session because I'm asking many questions about the first steps to take. My advice, Jane, is take the first step. The rest will follow.
Amen.
Thank you, Glen. I think it was very insightful. I think something like vision sometimes comes across as very complicated. I think we clearly discussed that vision is straightforward and simple. You have your vision and you just take the steps to get to it. There's nothing more to it. The world will make it a lot more difficult. We don't have to do more than that. So thank you very much.
Henny, thank you for all the questions that you've asked. I think we explored this so much more than we would have had you not asked these questions. And I think there's a lot of things we touched on this evening that can be expanded on further. So thank you so much. It's been a pleasure being with you. And I'm going to click a button to play out with the video. And thank you so much for everyone who's joined. And for those of you watching the recording, please share your comments with us. Good night.
Cheers, everyone.
Today, for me, today for you, today for each of us, is an opportunity and an invitation to step into a world of abundance where your life matters, where your vision makes a difference, where the world will know that once upon a time in the past there was a man or a woman who rose to the calling of God in their life and made the impact that they were designed to make. And you have that ability. Just die to self, surrender to Him, and become significant. I couldn't be more excited for you. I could not be more excited about the future, because every person that you equip to take that step of putting a plan together for their life, a plan that is aligned with the desires of their heart, those people, those children, young and old, are going to come alive, and they're going to cause a ripple that goes through time that impacts the lives of others. Make the choice today to live a life of significance.